If you're like me, you probably noticed that medtech project timelines almost never slip just once. They slip, then they slip again. Eventually, everyone shrugs and says, med device development just takes longer than expected. But after 30 years building and leading medtech programs, I've learned something important. What I've learned is that most timeline slip isn't caused by technical difficulty, but rather by how teams coordinate their work. Hello, I'm Bob Boutillier. Over the past 30 years, I've worked on more than 60 medical device programs, everything from wearables and implantables to respiratory systems, robotics, and diagnostic equipment. Along the way, I've had the pleasure of working with organizations large and small, including medtech innovator startups, Boston Scientific, CR Bard, 3M, IBM, Duracell, and Jabil, amongst others. Several of the programs I was brought into were already behind schedule, and what I usually discovered was this. Teams were talented, engineering was solid, sometimes based on a previous platform or architecture, and the quality systems were strong. The execution rhythm across the teams just wasn't aligned. So what's the core problem? Software teams often work in 2-week sprints. They know exactly what they have to deliver next. They've committed to it. And if something goes wrong, it becomes visible quickly. People raise their hands within that 2 or 3 week sprint period, and you know what's going wrong and you can adjust for it. But hardware, mechanical, and industrial design teams are often given 8 to 12 weeks to deliver something. And if a problem appears, nobody knows until week 8. By that time, the budget is spent, the schedule is broken, and the software teams are waiting for hardware, as is the rest of management, that isn't ready. And that's where the slip really begins. Second problem is the process. MedTech development needs strong quality systems. But over time, companies layer internal processes on top of those systems. And those processes compound, which can show up as a one-line software fix taking 2 weeks to reach the customer. Not because the engineering is hard, but because the process has become heavier than the problem. So here's where I usually start. When I work with teams, one of the first things I look for is where time is being lost between teams. Sometimes it's visibility or communications. Sometimes it's much simpler. People can't find the information they need when they need it. Engineers end up going on scavenger hunts through Slack threads, email chains, document folders, SharePoint, and internal systems. That's why I often help teams organize their work using platforms like Notion or Confluence, where decisions, architecture notes, program context becomes easy to find and easy to share, not only on this program, but on the next one. This doesn't change quality systems, and it doesn't relocate data. It simply serves as a human-readable, human-searchable index to where everything lives. And using a consistent structure across all programs builds the ultimate inaccessible program history files that can be leveraged in the future. I've done this for more than 20 years across all the companies I've worked with and for, and today I can still locate design details and production release details for over 50 programs. And I have the proof that when that information is easily findable, teams move faster. You're essentially using your team to crowdsource a detailed design history file. There's nothing like it. Another area where teams are gaining real leverage today is AI-assisted workflows. Used correctly, AI tools can dramatically reduce time spent on things like documentation prep, workflow reviews, and information organization. But in medical product development, this must always be done deterministically and responsibly. AI should never replace engineering judgment, and it should never introduce additional risk. Instead, it should help teams save time while staying fully accountable for the work. As you know, that balance is incredibly important. So what's my role? When I work with medtech companies, my role is very specific. I'm there to take this deep dive exercise off your plate, but not there to take control of your team. They know what they're doing, but likely just have some obstacles that need to be identified and adjusted. And I'm not there forever. I work transparently alongside the engineers and your team to identify where the programs lose momentum and how to restore execution speed without increasing risk. The goal is always the same. When I leave, the team is working independently as they always have, and they're stronger than when I arrived. If these challenges sound familiar, you may enjoy the MedTech Executive Roundtables I'm hosting. They're small discussion groups where engineering leaders share how they're solving problems like these with each other inside their organizations. If you'd like to explore this further, pop in your email address below, answer a few short questions, and it will be automatically emailed to you right away. It includes a checklist you can even walk through with your team, and if it resonates with you, I'm sure you'll be a great addition to our Executive Roundtable. Thank you. I hope to see you there.